The jazz musicians refer to him as Louis. Only we in England call him Louis. I try to call him Louis because that is how he referred to himself, and that is how the jazz musicians refer to him, Louis. I learned to play St. Louis Blues. The first thing I ever played on the piano was St. Louis Blues, because I taught myself to play it. Little did I realize that so many years later, I would actually be on a stage in Harlem, in New York, playing with Louis Armstrong on Louis Armstrong's birthday. It was the most amazing place. We were playing in Lewiston Stadium, which is a baseball stadium, and it was I think it was his 70th birthday or 69th birthday. But the point was, when Louis came on to play, the whole audience, for some reason, lit a match and held it up to their faces and sang "Happy Birthday to You." It was a magical moment, all these little flames and Louis standing there, and then we went straight into, I think we went into "When the Saints Go Marching In." And Louis played marvelously, and I consider he'd had a heart attack 2 weeks earlier. Fantastic. The first thing I realized when I was playing with Louis Armstrong, that he had such an intense feeling of rhythm, that the beat was so strong that somehow he was like a one-man rhythm section and trumpet player. You didn't have to worry about what the drummer was doing or what the piano or what the bass player was doing. He was doing it all. The next time I played with him was here at the Festival Hall, and it was with a symphony orchestra. We had a symphony orchestra and a little sextet, and Leonard Bernstein had done some beautiful introductions. Sometimes they took a couple of minutes. It wasn't just like 4 bars and in. It was a beautiful little bit of orchestration. And there was once at West End Blues where Leonard Bernstein had left a space. Each chorus is 12 bars long, and he just left a space for 12 bars. The idea for Louis Armstrong to play as many 12-bar choruses as he wanted to play, and then the orchestra would come in. But the classical conductor did not understand that. And so after 12 bars, and Louis was still jumping along in the rehearsal, and the orchestra came in. And Louis Armstrong put down the trumpet and looked at. He said, "What are you coming in for, man? I ain't finished doing what I'm doing." And the conductor said, "Can't you count, Mr. Armstrong? It says 12 bars." And he says, "You see, man, I can count, but I ain't got no sense of rhythm." And he started to laugh. But that was Louis Armstrong. I did have a chance to talk to him, and he was a strange. He had, I don't know. I think there is a good case for pure innocence. Has great value, because he was in a way, he was clean through. He was innocent, and I remember, for example, when someone was in the dressing room with us. And he said to Louis Armstrong, what's the basis of your inspiration? How do you come on? Are you inspired every night? He said, "You want to know the base of my inspiration?" I said, yeah. He said, "Have a good shit every morning. That's the important thing. That's the most important thing to be a jazz musician. Have a good shit every morning." I then talked to him about life in New Orleans, how tough it was, how rough it was, and he actually taught me the word jazz. I didn't know until then that jazz originally was a verb. It was not a noun. It was to jazz somebody. It actually meant to have sex with somebody. And you'd hear a guy saying, "Look at that chick over there, man, I'd love to jazz that chick." Or she would say, "Look at that handsome guy, I wouldn't mind jazzing with him." And that was to have sex. So the brothels were called jazz houses. And when they started importing music, because there were so many brothels, each one had to try and outdo the other with better music and better facilities, the music that they got played was called jazz music. He liked singing, he didn't have too good a memory for the lyrics, which was how all that noodling, when singers go beep bop, it was invented with Louis Armstrong, invented by him, not because of genius, because he forgot the words. And when he came to doing the recording, and in those days when you recorded like West End blues, you recorded, you got one time, you got one shot, that's it. They didn't let you sit around and there was no editing. You just did it. And so when he came to him singing, he forgot the lyrics, he just went, and made it up. And that became popular, and other musicians took it on, and Cab Calloway and everyone else grabbed it, and that's how it is. Even Dizzy Gillespie did it. The rehearsals were marvelous fun. He was very relaxed, very easy about everything. And that's the point. He wasn't critical. Like some musicians can be very critical. He wasn't. He just wanted to have a ball. He said, let's enjoy it, man. That was life there. That was part of the world. That was jazz, having a good time. Let the good times roll. I don't think it is right for any jazz musician to profess to being a jazz performer unless they've given Louis Armstrong an awful lot of listening. The whole history of Black America is revealed, if you listen carefully enough, it's revealed in his music. Thank you, Louis. Thank you.